So yeah, it's One Piece Sunday. Actually, we don't usually do these on Sunday, but we haven't talked about One Piece in a while, and I was like, I did the Bradley thing, which is always fun, where you don't read for a little while and then you just get to do a
Yeah.
binge. That was great. So I read the last four chapters this morning, and we don't want to get too far behind, um, but because we haven't talked since 11:28, so let me do my quick little chapter summary, and then let's bang this shit out in like 50
Yeah.
minutes, and then move on.
We have a. I had saved up such a good set of chapters because I think the last time we had talked was was 11:27, like when they had woken up on
Oh,
Elbaf, which
so
I don't
that
even know if they knew it was Elbaf
no,
at
they
that
did.
point.
I don't think they did at the time. That's this whole batch. So we have 11:28, where we're in the giant Lego playset. There's a lot of Nordic lore in that playset. We got 11:29. Uh, you got the scene with like the X mark on Luffy's arm, which is a note from Vivi, which was fun to figure out. We start building up Loki as a character. We get revealed to Elbaf properly. The fan letter comes out around this stretch, but we talked about it in like our podcast from I think like 3 months ago or so, when
Yeah.
it actually came out. So if you want, we won't be talking about that here, but we gave it like a proper segment over there. If you want to hear to that, long story short, it's peak. It's like a life changingly good episode of One Piece.
Oh, it was
Um,
insane.
it's so good. 11:31, Luffy meets Loki. They discuss Shank's whereabouts. The other Straw Hats actually arrive in Elbaf. 11:32, we got actually arriving at Elbaf, and the chapter ends with like this eerie note from a explorer that we heard about way back in the Jaya arc, just like a fictional explorer in the world. And he basically says like, "Don't stay here for too long. We
It
still
was
don't
back in
know."
Little Garden.
Oh, Little Garden, so even further back. That's cool.
Yeah.
11:33 is the Robin and Saul chapter.
Oh,
We get like lovely crew reactions. We get the thank you for surviving. They meet. It's great. Definitely gonna
That's
go
neat.
back and talk about that one. 11:34 is the first chapter where we get like a lot of giant culture because we're interacting with the kids and Ripley. It's a much more progressive society these days. We get to the magical owl library where an owl makes all the books big. Very cool. We end the chapter, or we get Loki communicating with a person called Shaggy, uh, and it's someone that he's been talking to for years, and he considers a friend, but he's never met. It seems very bitter about something. Shanks and a stranger teleport in a demon circle. So at this point, the theory mill starts running rampant, I'm sure, about Shanks' brother Stabs. But surely we'll never get an answer to that.
Never.
11:35 is the big party chapter. We expand more of the peaceful society with the character Kowloon. He's the little kid who is actually like rambunctious, and all the kids don't like. We got the party time, which is we're partying at the start of an arc this time. I thought that's pretty interesting to note.
That means they're all gonna die.
It's all downhill from here.
Yeah.
These cloaked individuals are looking for Loki. 11:36 gives us fucking Nika lore. That's the shit I just eat up. And how all the people in Elbaf want to be like the mythical Nika. The Nika myth is presented more ambiguously here, because he's portrayed as like, is he a god of destruction or laughter or hope? So that's pretty interesting. We also discuss Loki's rep and his like past with his dad. Zoro and Luffy then discuss if Loki actually knows the whereabouts of Shanks, so cool little moment with them. And then Gunko, who is one of the people in the cloak, and not Shanks, negotiate with Loki. And then 11:37, the chapter that just came out this morning, that Tyler almost didn't read. Like, I showed up here saying some stuff, and he's like, "What are you talking about?" And then he had to like read. So 11:37 is lore about the battle at the castle and lore about ancient giants, which have been brought up before. This is like the
Yeah.
big horn giants. We got Hajruden being the king's other son, but they're from
good
another.
lore.
Yeah, this is cool. They're from another giant nation though, so like I wonder where that is. And
Bro,
That show
then
was cracking me up because they were talking about like, what do you mean you don't like these giants from the Sutherland? They're giants, and they're like, do humans not fight other
over
people from other
resources.
nations all the time?
And then Sora's
Bro.
like, yeah.
Zoro's never being the allegations.
Wait, that's so funny. God damn it, Zoro.
He's
And then
like, when you put it that way.
Gunko and Shamrock fail to convince Loki to join the God's Knights, and then Shamrock goes, "All right, switching gears, we're gonna kill them all."
And then he loads his ultimate attack, Shamrock Shake.
Ooh.
Ooh.
All right, that's this batch of chapters. What are we diving into? I thought this was a good batch.
This is insane because this is one of those stretches of chapters where you're just consistently having these events you've been waiting for so long that
I know.
you almost can't process it. Like I got to the page where I think it's just Luffy and Usopp being like, "Oh my god, we finally made it! We made it to Elbaf!"
Elbaf, and they're singing.
Oh my god, I had to pause for a second just to be like, take a breath, like, oh my god, we actually did make it here. But then I feel like that's every other page.
Yeah,
in these chapters.
that one in particular is this huge double spread where you get to see how beautiful Elbaf the city is, and the other half of the page is just Luffy smiling and Usopp crying. And I was like, oh my god, dude. It has been so many years since they've been talking about this shit, and we're really here. Feels great. Anyways, Joe, what? Give me something that you want to talk about with this batch chapter. We'll start with you.
Okay. Well, we'll just start from the very obvious one.
Robin.
Which is the Robin stuff. I feel like at this point, the entirety of Robin's character arc is done, right?
Yes,
it's pretty good.
It's been done. It's been done well before this. If Robin just vibed with the crew and smiled, that's all we needed, right?
Right.
So
I don't know, when we were having that whole moment where she was seeing Saul, I was like, the whole time you're reading One Piece and you're getting to know these characters, you can always see in the future some of these happily ever after moments that are eventually going to happen.
Ooh,
and while we were reading that, I was like, this is one of those moments though that I've been waiting for.
And what's cool is it's not a moment we've been expecting forever, because we didn't know Saul was alive all this time, but ever since that was dropped, you're like, wait, this is a reality that could happen, and we got it way earlier than I thought, which is great.
Yeah, well, way earlier. It's chapter 1133, but yeah.
Well, I mean, but Saul being alive was introduced in Egghead, so we did have to wait several arcs to get to this reunion.
Yeah.
Now, I'm also loving having the old Robin haircut back.
That was great.
We just have to do that for Frankie now too.
Well, Frankie's had his old haircut in the post time skip. He's changed his hair every
Yeah,
arc,
he needs to keep it.
He needs to keep that shit. I'm with you, but the canon hair in Wano was kind of cute in its own way.
All right.
It's also the most panels I think I've seen of Robin smiling in
Yo, for real.
I mean, she's been vibing the whole post time skip, man. She's having a great time, just having friends and adventuring.
Yeah,
it's great.
but
yeah, Joe, what else you got here? Because this is your girl, man.
I like the reunion because it's exactly how she met Saul on the beach, except now instead of being upset, she's happy when they finally meet again. I don't know. It's just a very nice moment in time, and it's kind of you get the final it's kind of the person that that you. It's the point of meeting someone that you give all this advice to, and how you think life's gonna get better, and seeing them seeing all that come to fruition, right? It wasn't in vain.
Yeah, it's cool from Saul's perspective too.
Yeah, because also for Saul, imagine you're living and then it's just Nico Robbins killed 500 people and oh no.
And it's that's not true, but you're I hope she's doing okay out there.
Yeah.
And that's just what he had to deal with the whole time.
We also get is there the revelation here, or is it in another chapter where it's what's his name? Spandine's dad framed Robin?
It's this one. So this is 1133, and this is what I wanted to bring up. This chapter opens with extra after O'Hara incident flashback, and it just twists the knife on what was already a sad story and makes it way sadder, because you're getting to see more of Robin just going through this incredibly paranoid life as a child, getting hunted down. She's 8. She's eating food from the trash. She's getting hunted down by townsfolks. She's standing at a cliff as a 8-year-old contemplating suicide, and she's having to, like, it's only her mother's words and Saul's words. It's like, God damn it, I just want to jump. But then, like, what gets me is when she finds a book and she sees O'Hara doesn't even exist there anymore.
Oh.
And as her one little, like, form of rebellion, she, like, scribbles O'Hara was here and then runs away. I love that shit. It's very Better Call Saul when, like, he wrote SG was here in the wall.
Yeah.
As, like, this is, like, all I have left is, like, leaving this small mark. That's just heartbreaking. And she's a child, goddammit. It's so sad.
Mm-hmm.
And then, it goes from there and builds up to their reunion. And, like, she just completely sandbags the gag of, like, oh, no, Saul's gotten down, which is great. That, like... in a future chapter, like, we have to get, like, all the kids to not spoil the surprise. Like, it was really hard.
I just also, there's this panel of, like, Saul, like, talking about how he, like, was encased in ice and the flames then burned him. This panel is kind of funny because it looks like his head's exploding. It's on page 14 to 15 on the thing. Just the, like, the way it's structured. I just think that's a funny looking imagery.
Oh, I see it because the flashback. I see it's in the bottom left. And like,
yeah.
Dude, now what was really cracking me up about their whole reunion is when Luffy gets to meet Saul, because
so
like I don't know how it would come across in Japanese, but the way it's localized, Luffy just starts talking in this like super country like, well, you rescued one of our youngins. Thank you kindly. Begging your pardon, all this stuff, and I don't know if it's Zoro or Nami. You're like, what are you doing?
He has no idea what he's doing. It's great.
Yeah, it's so funny.
I think he's like trying to be like samurai, like old samurai.
He's trying to be like I don't know, honorable or something.
It might be one of those things where like maybe you might know this blur, but like maybe Luffy in like the Japanese like kanji has a more of a backcountry accent in the way he writes or talks, and this might be coming out for the first time.
I mean, this is probably just like him trying to be like, I think honorable people sound like this. Like,
yes.
Luffy has very cute notions of like what some cultures are supposed to be like, and he like, again, it also goes into like what he thinks the giant should be like, just based on like what he heard from like stories and stuff, and he like goes with that. So I think he's just trying to be like super honorable. A good yeah, well, it's great. I also love the crew's reaction to Saul and Robin meeting, where like all of them are crying, and then Jinbei and Zoro are just like standing there all cool, and Luffy smiling. Like it's such a good spread of emotions.
I also just kind of realized that like Robin's outfit is a reflection of like her like a more grown up version of her like little kid outfit, like the simple like dress.
Oh, it is, isn't it? That's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just overall just great chapters. It goes way longer than I expected to. Like,
how do you mean?
Like it just goes in like 1.5 chapters. Like I thought we'd be done with it and then we move on.
That would be bad.
Yeah,
I'm glad that we like, ease the scene out.
Yeah.
Into another scene.
Yep.
We also learned, like, around this time that, like, the Vegapunk that came here years ago was a Vegapunk clone? Huh?
Yeah, huh.
What the fuck? This guy is just, his own mortality and humanity. He just does not give a fuck.
No, where is that?
It's in the beginning of the chapter after, where Lilith shows up and then talks about how she's going to try to reanimate the clone because it's in the tube, but they need to build a lab. But she says that's the clone that came to Elbaf years ago, because the government was keeping too many tabs on Vegapunk in the lab. So they had to send the clone, which is wild. Yeah. Okay,
that is wild. That's a weird.
That's insane.
Yeah. That's okay. I want to know what these satellites are.
Yeah, I don't know if they're cyborgs or fleshy clone people. We still don't have an answer.
Yeah, because because like on one hand, if it's clones, I'm like that's a little bit strange. But if it's like people that he's like, I don't know, used, it's like okay, what the fuck are we doing here?
Well, I mean, it's probably the people like it's probably DNA that were like volunteer to him for these like researches. Like okay, I mean, it was pointed out that Well, I mean, this wouldn't be a thing, but it was pointed out that Lilith kind of looks like Sanji's mom, but not really, because Sanji would have said something, so probably not.
Sanji wanted another Wugad.
I mean, he might. He's a little freak.
He is a little freak like that.
But maybe not that freaky. There's lines maybe where he's...
You know who is freaky, though, is Roto. Jesus.
Let's talk about Roto, because... And this is why I like not discussing One Piece every week. Because if you ask me, like, how's the start of Elbaf, I would have said great, except the Roto stuff seems really random and like a weird way to start the arc, and then everything else around that has been fantastic. But as of the most recent chapter... Like, I'm like, what the fuck is Roto's purpose, right? Like, why did we even do that? But, like, now he's, like, this servant number 3, I'm first, and Sanji second, says Zeus, which is, like, really good, very funny. So he gets to be this, like, guy who knows giant lore, but is, like, shunned by the rest of the arc, like, the rest of the giants, so he gets to be the one that, like, takes us into the places we don't know and explain to us what happened.
Never try to close the distance between us again.
Yeah, like...
I think also like every time they land on an island, they have to have shenanigans that happen.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I think Roto is their shenanigans MacGuffin.
There's always a shenanigans, right? But usually that shenanigan wraps into something else, or it's something short, like we got attacked by some giant fish or some shit, and now we got separated. But like, yeah, I guess it was also a way to separate them. But I also like. I kind of liked how he revealed that Hajrudin is a prince, basically.
Yeah.
And he's like, he wants to be the one to unite all the other giants. I was like,
yeah.
That's kind of cool, dude. Like, that's pretty sick.
Maybe that's foreshadowing. Makes you think.
What foreshadowing to what?
It's almost like he's an exact parallel to Luffy.
Well, I think there's a better parallel to Luffy in this arc, but we'll get to that.
He calls himself King of the Giants, or wants to be.
Yeah.
True, he wants... So that's kind of cool, because Hajrudin is just a fucking guy we met. And I think that's something beautiful about this arc, because, like, you also meet that giant that was, like, imprisoned with Rayleigh, and I was like, I don't even remember that fucking guy. That's crazy. So it's like, all these giants, like the ones from Enies Lobby, the ones from Little Garden, all these people we've met throughout the entire story are now living here. And it's just, like, kind of crazy, because we met them all in such different circumstances, like... Back then, it didn't feel like we were building to meeting them all here. It just felt like a living world where every giant that we ran into, we helped. And now they're all here. And let's fucking party. They all love us. Yeah. Like, it's great.
I like how as the giants in Hajrudin gets power scaled, it also power scales Usopp.
Because somehow.
Because now he gets to go back and be like, oh, I saved the Prince of the Giants.
Yeah, that's kind of great. I mean, he did that. Like, it's been a while since he did that. He's like, the one who beat, who did he say he beat?
Oars?
Yeah, the one who beat Oars was me, which is like, okay.
Yes.
It was the biggest team effort of all time, but you do Usopp.
I thought Tyler was going to say that was going to elevate Usopp into an actual god, because Hajrudin's the one that held him up.
Well?
Oh, hold on.
I don't think that's off base, because, like... Actually, I want to see Hajrudin interact with Usopp a little more. I could see that.
It's so funny.
A thing I really liked about this arc as well is all the Straw Hat interactions. Like, we are just being fed... non-stop, like, great little interactions between the crew. One I really liked was Zoro talking to Luffy after the party. He's like, I know you've been antsy about something. You want to free that Loki guy and see Shanks, don't you? And it's like, yeah, like, it's just cool that Zoro... I just love any moment where Zoro, like, is the person who knows Luffy the best.
And I did want to point that out as just I feel like I've seen people voice the sentiment online, just that... You know, there's always people complaining that there's not enough crew interactions, like whether we're focusing too much on like the big plot rather than our crew, but like I just haven't felt that way this arc so far. I feel like I'm getting to see all those little interactions.
To be honest, I haven't felt that, period, because if you go back to the start of every arc, it's all full of like crew interactions, and then we have to get to the plot. Like, One Piece is not a story anymore where we just kind of fuck around in Jaya and then fight a spring man. Like, there's like a lot of gears moving, so we got to move the plot forward a little bit.
At some point, you got to get to it.
Yeah. So that's been cool. Tyler, do you have like a highlight you want to talk about in these chapters? Hit me.
I really just like the Usopp and Luffy flashback panel.
Yeah.
Where it shows them saying like they're gonna go to Elbaf, and like this is like one of the other big dreams being realized, along with Robin reuniting with Saul.
Yeah, that shit hits.
Like, it's good. I like that. I like their representation of the Biofrost.
Yeah, the as someone who knows
The
a
Rainbow
little,
Bridge.
yeah, like if you know a little bit of Norse mythology, you're just like geeking out at all the little references. They throw in.
I like that the boat is called the Great Eric.
Yeah,
After Leif Erikson.
yeah, I love Vinland Saga. Who invented Leif Erikson?
No, SpongeBob invented Leif Erikson.
Sorry, my bad.
There you go.
There you go.
I like the panel where they meet Ripley and Luffy's just standing in the middle of her cleavage.
That is
You
like
know, I also like the panel where they meet Ripley.
I also like that panel too.
that's my wife. No, Ripley is so I like that like the interacting with the children actually was like a cute way to show us a lot about current giant culture, because we've always been told this is a war of like warring giants and we're so proud, and then you get to the kid like to the kids and they're just like chill. They don't even know how to say violence. They say violence with a Y, or like visceral with a Y. Like they don't even know how to say these rough words. And like, don't say guys anymore. That's not in anymore. Like, I just thought that was like a cute way to show. It's like, oh, okay. Like we're going to learn about like the past of giant civilization and the current of giant civilization quite a bit through these kids.
I like how we learn about why Lin was exiled.
Yeah, I thought
because she killed Joe Rule, not Ja Rule.
Yeah. I think we knew that. I don't know if we remember that he was killed though. That was probably revealed, but she definitely flipped that motherfucker on his beard.
Yeah, she killed Joe Rule, not Ja Rule. Ja Rule is his brother that has the sword in the head.
The helmet protected me. That's such a stupid fucking One Piece gag.
That makes more sense because I was literally flipping back and forth between these two pages where they were like, oh yeah, Lin killed this motherfucker, and then he's on the next page, and I was like, what are you talking about?
If you want to go back, you can read the Big Mom flashback. It's only like 3 chapters or so, but yeah, they do show like her going on a rampage because she didn't get the Semla. And then she like flips like this old king, and then they're like, "Oh my god, this child's actually the devil," and that's why they hate her. Nika lore. I think I talked about it, but it's just cool that like Nika is this mythical figure. What chapter was that? Because I want to go back through the wording. I think it was 36.
Hearing Luffy actually talk about it with someone
is great. But I still love how he's kept like yeah, that's got nothing to do with me though, and like his attitude about it, like he knows now what it is, but he's like, yeah, it's kind of I get why they would think that's me because I also turn white and I'm also a cartoon man. It's like, but Luffy, that's why you're him. You're hashtag him, Luffy.
Dude, yeah. Speaking of him, there's one kid who wants to be a warrior still, and Luffy just goes all out and uses an elephant gun on it.
That's cracking me up. He just goes all out, and they're like, Luffy, he's a kid, and Luffy's like, I didn't hit him, and they're like, still, Jesus.
Nah, Luffy's showing him the same tough love that he showed Momo, and I think that's a really cool, like, Luffy's such a good big brother to so many characters in the story. But like when they're talking about Nika, they say like, is he the hero who appeared to save the world from disaster, the destroyer who lays waste to all? He appears when the world's about to undergo a great transformation. Therefore, the great and mighty of the day always fear Nika's arrival. That's hard. That
guy gave me goosebumps.
Yeah, like the great and mighty of the day always fear his arrival. That's so cool because it's like if he shows up, something bad's about to happen, and like that's really cool, man.
Y'all notice how Bonnie's been in kid form the whole time?
Yeah,
like they all met up.
I think that's interesting.
You notice that she's hanging around with Chopper because her entire life as a kid, she hung around doctors most of the time.
She's hanging out with Robin, I noticed a lot, but is she with Chopper as well? That'd be cool.
Yeah, they're in the library together trying to read the books, playing.
Cute, that's awesome. I like her. I like her bond with Robin as well, like as a big sister kind of vibe. It's been great.
Yeah.
It's also nice that like she's just kind of getting to be a kid because I feel like she had to become notorious pirate Bonnie out of necessity, but now she's like, I'm with people where I can be safe. I can just be a little kid.
That's just a great visual way. It's the same as seeing Robin smile. Like seeing Bonnie in her normal form is just like everything's well now for now. Until M destroys the world. That'll be great. Speaking of Bonnie, I think Lilith says that like, yeah, I can help your father here. So this is a Joe W. Because you call this Joe. You're like, how are we? Like, is Bonnie gonna be traveling with us? What's an excuse for her to stay at Elbaf? And I think we just got it. Like, Lilith is going to build a lab here, and then Bonnie's gonna chill here until the end. of till like she's needed at the end of the series.
Which makes me sad. I would like to see Bonnie go with the Straw Hats.
I would not mind Bonnie as a Straw Hat. I think that'd be sweet, but I just don't think it's happening. Are we gonna get anyone? I think like it's Vivi and that's it, and like Kinemon and Momo and Yamato later, when they show up.
Hypothetically, hear me out.
I'm hypothetical.
What if Blackbeard kills all of Shanks' crew and then Shanks became a Straw Hat?
Let's talk about something else.
So one thing.
But hypothetically, though.
I'm saying, like, if we look at the TCG lore, all of Shanks' crew have on-play abilities.
Oh, they're cooked, bro. That's a direct counter.
Okay, on another note, before we go into another weird tangent, do y'all remember Luffy almost twisting his arms off in Whole Cake Island?
Yes.
What was he pinned to?
He was pinned to sea stone nails, I think.
He was, but what was those nails pinned to?
A book.
A giant book.
Because he was in the book world. He was inside Montdor's fruit ability, which is the book fruit. So that's why it's a giant book.
Oh.
Wait.
Why would...
No, is that it? It was the book where Big Mom keeps all her freakish things, and I think there's jail cells in there. I think.
They're the person that has Montdor like can turn you into a book or like
put you in a book. I think is what it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Pudding goes, "I'm going to kill Sanji." In his ears, he's like, "Pudding, no!" Great peak fiction.
Yep. So one thing, but speaking back on Bonnie, that's another supernova that's been turned over to like. Ally of Luffy, right? And like that's kind of like the big point of like I think the series that like once again of like who's gonna be the first launch.
Ooh, you're cutting out there, Joe. Did I cut out?
It's gonna be a big deal when it happens.
Could you repeat that? You were cutting out, and then.
So yeah, sorry. Let me put this closer. Basically, like a big turning point in the series that's gotta have to happen is someone other than Straw Hats. That's a pirate saying that Luffy's king of the pirates. Right?
Ooh, someone to give him the declaration, right?
Yeah.
No, dude. I think after Law and Kid both got bodied, I think they're both like, nah, Luffy's way out of our league. Too.
But this is also Bonnie. It's another vote on the Supernova Council.
Yeah, they're gonna meet at the round table, and Hawkins is gonna be there as a skeleton. He's dead.
I think also like Beige is also like sure, like he's got different motives now.
Beige is a dad now. So he's retired for about like a year and a half.
Yeah, I love Beige. Beige is so good.
We still have one missing Supernova.
Rogue, the Love Maker.
Yeah.
When is I don't at this point I don't want him to show up, you know?
No, he has to show up. Fuck off. Like
he showed up when Kaido jumped off the cloud.
No, he has to do something in the story. You guys are crazy to think he wouldn't.
He's gonna show up after the big war at the end, and everyone's all happy, and he's gonna come down from the sky and be like, Jesus, what the fuck happened?
I think he's going to be at Lodestar Island if we go there. That's my vote. That's the canonical last island of the Grand Line, but it's not Laugh Tale. I think he might be there for whatever reason, as well as Nami's parents, because I feel like we don't know anything about Nami's family. I feel like that's one Straw Hat where we could get like some lineage from in some way.
your rogue is going to be the supernova that made it the second furthest next to Luffy.
Which is kind of wild. That would be sick, actually. Like, this guy? Really? It's like, yeah, I just took the high ground. It was easy.
I just walked.
I simply took the Eagles to Mordor, idiot. Like,
does he have like a whole crew and everything, or is he just like?
Who knows?
Yeah, he's got some background people that are with him usually. We'll know their names when they become cards in the future.
Yeah.
As we do with many side characters. Good tangents.
Yeah.
What else is going on in this arc? Okay, I want to talk about fucking Loki, dude.
He's so cool.
Dude, the moment I saw that first spread of Loki, I felt what the kids call the aura.
But, dude, I was like literally, I saw that spread and I was like, oh, this is gonna be a good arc.
Right? Like, just something like you have this disgraced prince who killed the king chained at the bottom of a valley where he just hangs out with a bunch of wolves and bears and giant animals all day, and he's just there laughing and cackling about how he wants to become the sun god who destroys the world. So it's like, it's all come together, this lore of the sun god. Is he the savior? Is he the destroyer? Who is he really? This mythological figure. And it's like, I'm going to be the sun god. But like, the thing is, I want to take y'all's vote in this. Is Loki like the antagonist of this arc? Is he a bad guy? What do you think is his role going forward?
It's what's weird because like the further these chapters have gone on, you see kind of like you see nuance to him, right? He doesn't feel like just he doesn't just feel like I hate everything and I want everything to burn for no reason.
No, like he's gotta have a good motive. Like you can just tell that like there's more to him than just being a dickhead. Like, but what is it?
Like, I think he's trying to like play into the character of
Sun God as the destroyer.
Yeah. And so like he's trying to like it's kind of like a fake it till you make it kind of a thing, right? Like he probably knows like like the world has to change, and the only way to do that is to be the destroyer, so I'll have to become this like mean evil thing, but in the end it's gonna like in his mind, in the end it's gonna make everything better.
Which makes him a lot like Kaido, who
yeah,
like you have a couple of different ways to read Kaido as a character, but the way I read him is like, if I can't be Joy Boy, I'm going to make a world of violence where might makes right until a Joy Boy shows up. So
yeah.
I feel,
yeah. But I think the big thing is that deep down, it's going to come out like Loki doesn't really want to be that. Like he doesn't.
I feel like
that way.
So in the most recent chapter, we're going through the castle, and you see the scars of their battle, and it looked vicious, but also like people died in that fight, like the palace guards. And there's something about what happened that night that is going to be a twist.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It is not as straightforward as Loki the prankster showed up one day and fulfilled the prophecy to kill his dad. Like, I think the king wanted. The king is like hardcore enough to remove his own horns to show that we've moved on from what we were in the past, right? So it's like, is he hardcore enough to be like, kill me, my son, and fulfill your prophecy because this is the only way? Like, what? Okay, what if the role is in the plot and like the father is into this? I forgot his name, but like he's like, okay, if Joy Boy shows up or Sun God shows up, we need to make sure he's the one that can do this, and you need to be his counter Sun God. You need to be the one that like makes him rise to the occasion of like, you're like actually understand your role in the world, and like that's been highlighted in this arc and Egghead, where like Luffy now knows that like there's something going on with the Sneaker myth. He's not taking it seriously at all. Maybe he needs something to like force him to realize that he is more than just the kid who's gonna become Pirate King in some way.
And like while we're on the talk of just like Nika and the role, we have all this talk about like even the Giants brawling over Nika as a liberator or Nika as someone who brings destruction, and I think that they're talking about these things as if they're mutually exclusive, but I think Nika being a rescuer and liberator and Nika being the destroyer of the world
are one and one.
They are just one and one because, like they said, the people, you know, in any age where Nika shows up, the mighty and powerful are terrified. So to them, Nika strictly would be a destroyer, while at the exact same time, to anyone else, he would be this rescuer, liberator god. So I wonder how much, like, just the messaging from either their governments or mythology gets twisted through time. I don't know.
Which is a common thing. So I remind everyone that, like, Madame Charlie, whose predictions have never been wrong, her prediction was that Straw Hat Luffy is going to destroy Fishman Island.
That's actually good.
And let us not forget that the climax of Dressrosa is the people of Dressrosa just begging Luffy to destroy the island so they can start from the ruins anew, because, like, there's just so much wrong with, like, their history, and they're like, fuck it, Luffy. And then what does he do? He punches Doflamingo through the city square and, like, just destroys a huge swath of the city, and they're like, fuck it, we'll rebuild. Like,
and what does he do at the end of the story? He punches the red line and unites the entire world.
The One Piece. Except Oda said that no one's guessed it, but that can't be. He's lying. That's the answer.
The monkeys are on those typewriters.
Yeah. He's got the AI bots. Like, what is the One Piece? Tell me, actually. He's been lying to us.
Hold on. We're gonna use abominable technology and ask it a question real quick.
Yeah, let's see what it answers. But, you know, Bradley, I kind of love that, right? Because it's like, we've seen examples of the story that have the answer. Like, the Destroyer and the Liberator and the God of Laughter, it's all in the same. We destroy, we liberate, then we laugh about it.
Not two different things.
Wow. Damn, and that's what the people of Elbaf need to see. They're like, it was all right. Like, it's all, man, he's him. Dude, fucking love Nika lore. Such a good addition to the story. All right, man. We've covered a lot. What else is going on? Bradley, do you have anything?
I'm trying to figure out what Oda's doing here in this arc, right? Because so we started out our arc in Legoland, which obviously we got out of there in, like, I almost said a level or two instead of a chapter or two, which reminded me one of the chapters they were in Legoland, I think, was titled RPG.
Yeah, it was.
Going, like, before we knew where they actually were, I was like, is this some weird shit where they, like, are in a video game world?
They got isekai.
Dude, no, my mind was, oh my god, I had so many possibilities. Obviously, one of the possibilities was the reality. I was like, okay, maybe some giant just put them in a fucking cage. But
they did.
I had all these other ideas where I was like, what if Elbaf is actually, like, hilariously a really tiny island, and everything gets shrunken down when it goes to Elbaf, and then, like, I don't know.
What the fuck? That would have been crazy. But, like, that could totally... But then it's like the government is like, okay, I mean, look, let's just dig up the island and, like, move it.
It's like, no, but that's the secret. That's why Elbaf is safe, is because the island's actually really tiny, so the government can't find it.
Brilliant move, Goda.
But anyway, whenever they were in Legoland or whatever, I was just like, is this... Well, like, where's the foreshadowing? Like, is this going to be our prototype for the arc where, like, what's going to be the moment later on in the arc where I go, oh, Luffy running into the wall and shattering, and the cracks go up the sky. That was the foreshadowing for this. I'm like, I don't know.
What if current Elbaf is a construct of what it is? Like, basically, it's been manipulated to be into the point where it's a non-threatening nation compared to the world government, like, because they want to, like, hide away and not go out, right? And there's not, because they don't talk about violence and they don't, like, have violent tendency anymore. Because, like, imagine if, like, a whole nation of just warrior giants just rise up and start attacking.
Yeah, I mean, that's a rumbling situation, right? You know, like, that's scary.
So, like, it's like, and think about, like, how easily, like, the two Holy Knights came in, like, and they came to a place where, like, that's the castle that they knew would be empty and were able to get around where however they like.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, they obviously have, like, precursor knowledge of everything in there. So, like, it's this island that's been constructed to be a certain way and with certain figures in place, right?
Who constructed it in your theory?
I don't know. Jay Saturn.
He would. That motherfucker.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. But like, it's just like that was a thought I was having, especially like after the last chapter of like, essentially, the world government knows that like it's better to keep this thing placated. Same thing with like Wano. Like they want Wano to remain closed because it's afraid of something that's there.
Yeah.
Right. So like I think it goes along with those lines of like the very powerful nations that like really have that threat. They're trying to just keep them like in a space where like they're insular and they don't want to like leave their island or deal with the outside world. I think Luffy getting thrown in there and getting trapped there is going to be the thing that forces them to break out.
It just doesn't click in my mind. Like that just requires a lot. But you know, to the actually island's actually tiny theory. What if this giant owl who's been here for centuries is what's making everything big? But that seems like a lot.
So that was one thing was because I was reading this, people were discussing it in the like fan translated versions. He didn't have like. He had the grow fruit or the nurture fruit, and like with the idea, the theories were going around was that like he actually has been around there and has been slowly making everything big, including the people and everything. And I think they got renamed, so it doesn't line up anymore. But that was like the original theory people have was like,
I think it is the grow fruit in the official.
Let me
what chapter was that? I think that was. The
it was
library is 34.
Okay. I think, I'll have to go back, because I remember that was a big theory that was, like, around the time being, like...
Or 35, rather.
Yeah.
Interesting. But, you know, people want to get the hottest new theory, but sometimes it's a little wacky.
Yeah.
Y'all, is the saga we're in called the Final Saga?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's the Boo Saga.
Yeah, sure. But yes, it's the Final Saga. Why?
I just, I haven't been here for 20 years.
Yeah, speaking of 20 years, like, man, like, that just wraps around to stuff like, I've known Robin since I was, like, 15 as a character. She's basically a real person to me, so getting to see her be happy in this arc is super cool.
She's older than my nephew and nieces.
Crazy.
No, that's what's funny is whenever earlier we were talking about that part where Luffy and Usopp were like, oh, we finally made it to Elbaf, whatever. I was like, that they had like a little flashback panel of whenever they first said that, like, let's go to Elbaf. And I was like, the dude who made My Hero saw that panel, grew up, went and drew My Hero, and then now he's sitting down at home reading this chapter.
Right? Like, people's lives have just been waiting for Elbaf, and here we are. It's been great. And like, yeah, back to Roto for a second. It's like, I also like how Roto was like, yeah, but like, unlike me, he's actually like a good person, and I want to see him become king. And I was like, God damn it, Oda, don't make me feel for this disgusting like little nerd. But he kind of did it. Like, he's making that beginning with Roto kind of work. And this is why you can't read a chapter of One Piece and be like, this shit sucks. Like, give it some time; it might grow on you as an idea, which is exactly what happened here.
A love to hate kind of character.
He is, but like, some of these gags are getting pretty good because I like Nami servant mode. Like, that's been like a very fun running gag recently. Zeus is great. That's the 11th Straw Hat, by the way.
Zeus has been he's been having some good moments.
He's just a fucking Straw Hat. He's just the pet of the crew that they say Chopper is. Mm-hmm. I think that's like all the big point. Okay, well let's talk about fucking Shamrock.
We're kind of saving the big one here.
Yeah, let's talk about Mr. Shamrock and Ginkgo.
Before we move on from that, because I just looked it up in the original fan translations, they said that the owl can make. In the original one, it says even the inorganic things can grow with his power, implying that like he can make other things grow that aren't like including organic things. In the official release, they mentioned that he can only make inorganic things grow.
He does, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that was the big kind of like the big
classic.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad. You know what? It's good not to engage with weekly One Piece discussions.
Dude, I gotta say, just like doing a little mini binge felt good. It felt like the old days when I was like binging One Piece for the first time. Don't have to worry about all these weird opinions online.
I like this reading.
It's nice, but it's also fun to be able to be like, yo, did you see when that happened? But that's what we're for. We're here to like do all the hype stuff together. This actual stretch of chapters was enough to be a whole volume, and I was thinking about that. I was like, oh, it's just like the good old days where Bradley was catching up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so these are these holy knights. What's
Dude, Ginkgo's fruit is cool. I will say that visually.
Oh yeah, yeah. What do you like about it, Willer?
The arrows.
Yeah. Do you want her to step on you?
Yes, Tyler. Let's get past that.
No, I like the visual display of the arrow showing where she's going to strike,
No,
and how even Loki's like, "So you're gonna hit me and then uppercut me?" She's like, "Yeah, it's gonna hurt." It's like,
and like when she called them like declarations of
violence
or something.
Unavoidable violence.
That is so fucking raw. Is that not like, I'm a holy knight? I'm gonna tell you violence is happening and it's going to happen. Like that's already really.
Oh, it was so good.
Loki's so fucking cool, man, and he's just like, but he's not done to like, oh, I'm this unstoppable cool force. Like he gets nervous, and then she's like, okay, so will you join? He's like, nah. Like,
dude, no, seriously, one of the lines that really made me love Loki is whenever they're like torturing him and they're trying to convince him, and he's like, do you think warriors whine about their manner of death? He's like, you're not gonna convince me with this. So he's like, I'm just gonna get more and more pissed. I don't know.
That's so cool, man. What is he gonna do? So I think Shamrock has to be the main antagonist of the arc. Then we're doing Holy Knights this arc, which is what's left for the final war. That's the key, that's the thing. We've already fought some of the what are they called? The Gorosei. Like we didn't come close to beating them, but we fought them. We're not gonna be fighting the Holy Knights. It's like shit. Like what is this final war gonna play out like? I guess it's just gonna be like, okay, we gotta finish these fights to conclusion because none of these fights have been ending conclusively. We're just kind of like surviving. So that's something to think about. But I think Shamrock and his beautiful face is going to have to be the actual antagonist.
Do you think this is Oda's way of having Luffy and Shanks fight without having Luffy and Shanks fight?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Because I don't think Oda would ever be adverse to having Luffy and Shanks fight. Like, why do you think he wouldn't want to do that?
I don't know. He looks like Shanks.
Yeah, he looks like Shanks, but I don't think that means we're not gonna fight Shanks or like have like a moment of like passing the torch.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing as I said. Like, do you think Sabo got made because he didn't want Ace to be done with his fruit?
Dude, okay. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was gonna go back to chapter 36 as we're talking about Shanks and like the cheekiness that Oda did, hiding him all the way up until then.
Oh yeah, he never shows the left side of the face.
He never shows the left side of the face, not even in Mary Jo.
Yeah,
Mary Joa.
Specifically, only see the right side of his face back then.
But also in chapter 1136, when Gunko's talking, she has a text bubble over his face.
Yeah,
and that goes off into another panel.
Yeah, it's very cheeky cover.
Very little cheeky.
He's a little cheeky fuck.
Yeah. So
I was telling Willer, I like the I don't know if Bradley was here to hear this, but it's like I like the Spanish drama. It's like it's very soaps, you know. It's like, oh, his evil twin brother, Shamrock,
Francisco. But like for all the credit, it took us 1,100 chapters to do a clones and evil brothers. We're in a fantasy story that's this long. You are allowed an evil brother. Like it's crazy we haven't done that yet, to be honest.
Yeah, he's earned it.
Yeah. And we'll see how
minimum 1,000 episodes you're allowed. That's every 1,000 episodes you get an evil brother, twin brother.
If anything, I think Shanks is gonna be who fights Shamrock or like takes care of him. But like, I wonder what Shamrock can do. He probably has a fruit because I think they all probably have like the rarest fruits.
Y'all see a parallel between like Loki and Odin at all?
A little bit. They're both like rambunctious children who like get disowned by their father initially.
They kind of, I don't know, forsake their like responsibility, but like they've done something that has like caused the responsibility to like fall through them in a sort. Like with Odin leaving and with Loki doing whatever he did.
They both go against their societal norms very
Yeah.
clearly, so definitely. But the difference is they locked this motherfucker up while Odin sailed free, and then he came back as the great man that he was meant to be. But I think Loki has been deprived of that by being chained here for those years.
Did they mention how long Loki's been down there? Has it been like...
Probably.
I don't think they have. Like, that's the weird thing, is so we got that, like, weird foreshadowing about time, and
Yeah, don't
every
you're welcome.
every giant that's there talks about how Loki is evil and killed the king. Like, almost every single one of them has mentioned it. Almost every chapter, they're like, he's the bad guy who killed the king.
And it's because
he's the bad guy who killed the king.
It's because they mentioned it so much. I'm like, I know how you work, Goda. This isn't the case. And I think he knows we know it's not the case, but what is the case?
Yeah.
Like, so, what if it's a time dilation thing would be...
That's what I was thinking. Like, the...
Isn't that what happens in Gulliver's Island? There's, like, some weird... What's Gulliver's Island about?
Gulliver's Island's when he gets...
Tiny people
pin him down.
Okay.
But that is a Greek mythology thing.
Yeah.
It's like the Lotus Island.
Mm-hmm. And then the Lotus Casino in modern Greek mythology.
Yeah. So it's like, oh man, is Luffy gonna come out and Blackbeard already has the One Piece?
Oh, he comes out and the world's already in war. That would be too wild.
Yeah.
But this motherfucker is 400 years old, is the oldest man alive, so...
I wonder if, like, what if they have a Groundhog Day situation? Have we finished the full day in Elbaf yet? I don't think we have.
We have not.
Okay,
but like... Okay, but then how do they live? You know, like... like, what's life? What is existence?
They go in, and they fill up the world government comes in, and it fills up their shampoo bottles up to 3/4 like it was on the morning. And it cleans up all the bones.
We're back to the government has placated this island theory.
Yeah. It's also 51st Dates with Adam Sandler.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. But like who like it's they constantly mentioned it. But also like giants have longer lifespans, right?
Can you Google real quick or use like Chat GPT and be like, how long has Loki been locked up?
Yeah,
it's gotta be somewhere here. I think if you go back through the recent chapter where they talk about his history, it's probably like 36.
What if like that's actually not relevant information yet? And
I mean that's
we don't know. Like we don't know that, and then ChatGPT like scans Oda's Google Docs and is like, oh yeah.
wait, you're onto something.
Cheat codes.
So what's important to note is that Lola and Loki were planned to be married.
Yes, that's why.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's another reason why like Loki's marriage to Lola was going to like pardon Big Mom's crimes, but then Lola ran away, and that's why Big Mom fucking hates her and Chiffon.
Yeah.
Lore.
Lola.
Man, Lola's more like Goda.
No, there's nothing. I'm at the One Piece wiki, which tends to be very, very like
up to
actual
date.
like yeah.
Dude, they post spoiler chapters on that shit.
Yeah,
that's fucked up.
It does. There's not a date mentioned about like when he was imprisoned.
So like going back, where do they fucking talk about his history? It says that same year, okay, so he's the accursed prince. Even before Loki's birth, King Harold prophesied he would be killed. Shortly after he was born, he killed the family's lucky horse. Sounds like some Norse mythology stuff. That was the same year that Linlin killed Chief Yorhul, the legendary warrior. The country was beset by disasters, and the queen passed just a year after giving birth to Loki. He made the underworld his playground, using his innate strength to kill and control the vicious animals. So he was hanging out in the caverns or like the lower area.
It lines up with Norse myth. Loki marries Hela, has a bunch of
animal
angry babies.
Yeah, okay. Loki's many pranks threaten our lives. Between his status and his cruel personality, he made our lives hell. And then the worst of all, Loki killed Harold, the greatest king in Elbaf, right here in the castle. No time given between his like childhood days and like killing the king. So
it's after Lola for sure.
Yeah. Uh,
Man, what if he's an incel? What
no,
if he has?
it'd be before. Yeah, well, yeah, it'd be after Lola.
Yeah, because they chain him up after he kills Harald. Like, there's no point.
Yeah,
So within the last 2 years?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Well, no, Lola ran away from her family like probably a decade ago. So we have like a 12-year window
Okay.
where this could have
Yeah.
happened. But okay, that's we'll get the actual answer. We did some One Piece like history deep diving, but we'll get the actual answer in a couple chapters
So
anyways.
almost 10 years ago, potentially.
Yeah.
Which is around the time Luffy and Shanks have their incident as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. I guess it kind of a lot of stuff happened where Bonnie sets off at the same time.
Yeah.
Just a lot of
Yeah.
stuff happening 10 years ago.
Yeah. I do like how Oda's reinterpreting the Loki myth of like the wolves and everything. Which by the way, where's World Snake? Give me Yoga Mander.
The world
Yeah.
snake is the red line.
Yeah. Could be.
And they even there's an attack that the giants do called the red blood serpent strike, and that's how it would like that how they use their like flying slash move. Anywho, we're reaching up on an hour here. Let's get to wrap up time. Anything else y'all want to bring up?
There was one other thing they mentioned about the underworld, and they're like, yeah, when people come to visit, they just sometimes stay in the underworld and forget that they don't even know that there's anything up here.
Yeah, they just get there, get scared, and leave. So that's why they don't even go up there. I'm guessing
Maybe that's all the adventurer blog was foreshadowing. Maybe there's genuinely nothing more.
Well, okay, we can close on that. Okay, what chapter was that? Because it ends with an image that is like kind of indecipherable in that chapter. I want to say that. Fuck, what chapter is that? Okay, 32. So if you go to the last page of 32, it ends with like that like excerpt, and then like it shows Luffy, Chopper, and Usopp freaking out, but then there's like a page beneath that. What the fuck is going on in this page?
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
There looks to be like Odin or some guy wearing like a straw hat or something, like a Japanese style straw hat in the bottom of the panel.
Yeah.
And then what looks like a bear mink or something standing up.
It's a bear.
It's a bear, but why? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
That's the only hint to why you might not want to stay here forever. And I don't know what like Odin's doing down there. But
The plot thickens.
the plot thickens. We have so many hidden characters still to add to the final roster.
Here's the other question too: is that Shanks is at Elbaf, right?
He might be.
No.
Like,
No.
they said that we don't know where he went. We don't know if he's like nearby. We don't know if he went somewhere else. We don't know if he's coming back right away. Only Loki allegedly knows, but that could be a lie.
Interesting. You think?
Did we not see him leave after the fight with Kid?
No,
We just see him say we're going to get the One Piece, and that's it.
that was way before the fight with Kid. The fight with
was
Kid
it? Okay.
was
Yeah.
recent, like somewhat recently, and he just
Yeah.
he only goes off to the ocean to fight Kid. So he was probably like hanging out in the underworld, probably like in a tavern,
Yeah,
in like the
so, like,
safer areas there.
That's what I was like thinking. Was like he wasn't on the tree; he was on the ground.
Yeah.
Like you could sail up to it, right?
Yeah, he was probably hanging out up there like for a couple days. Came down, saw Kid, and then they bodied him.
So the timeline is they're bodying Kid.
Yeah.
Luffy
Luffy's an
and
Egghead.
crew are at Egghead.
Yeah.
And then they body Kid, and then the Giants get told by Shanks to go to Egghead?
The Giants see the newspaper about the Egghead incident and sail over because I guess it's like a close by island.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they're at Egghead for like over a full day. Like they're locked up in the
The
Labo
siege.
phase, like the floating
Yeah.
part of the island, and they're just hanging out over there. Man, a lot of events, big plots.
Y'all, I will admit my reading literacy is not so good on these chapters.
Oh,
Maybe it's the holidays been a little bit sporadic, but it's like I'll be like looking at a page And I'm like, yeah, these are normal sized people. And then I see like tiny little black squiggles of like Luffy's body on.
Oh, that's very
On someone?
intentional. Like, and
I know.
like the scale of everything is very fucky because you see that panel like in the most recent chapter. There's one of like Rhoda walking into the castle, and there's a bunch of
Yeah.
like skeletons on the bottom. And like from that perspective, it just looks like a dude walking into a room in a castle with skeletons in it, and then in his hands are the tiny straw hats, and you're like,
It's fucking me up.
the creation of this place is just illogical. How did they get all the materials to make all this giant castle, for example? Like, that's insane. But, yeah, that's just the giant way of life. Very intentional. Okay, let's wrap up there. And, it also doesn't help that there was a ton of breaks during the holidays, so that was a good reason to binge read these. But, cool. We will reconvene in another batch of chapters. By then, we will have gotten more Loki context. We'll figure out what the hell Shamrock's gonna do. Oh, is Shamrock the person who was talking in?
Oh yeah, for sure.
You think so?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think like that definitely was a misdirection, and it definitely is like a.
He calls him Shaggy, so that could be a nickname for Shamrock.
Yeah, I think it's definitely like him coming up and. But we don't know what but now it kind of brings up in the air like what pirate is he talking about? Is he talking about Blackbeard? Is he talking about Shanks? Is he talking about Luffy? Right?
No, sorry, no. Is Shamrock the person Loki was talking to?
Okay, yeah, okay.
He's talking to someone on the like snail phone.
No, I think that's a Rogers crew member. Actually.
Fuck. Okay, that's I have no idea. That's something. Like, that's a plot hook for later.
Mm-hmm. Man, Usopp and Yasopp are never meeting. Like, this is never gonna happen.
Deadbeat dad.
Yeah, I mean, they'll meet. Don't worry. I don't know if it's this arc. I'm starting to not believe, but they'll meet. There's no way they don't. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good for today. Bye, everyone.
Bye.